All right, Dave. Oh, hello again, everyone, and welcome to the East County Prep Football Preview Show for Week 10, Dave.
Did
Oh,
you
just
say week 10?
oh my gosh, what's going on here? Just 2 weeks left of the regular season. We'll be around for a few weeks into the playoffs. As long as everyone better go out there and win if we want to do some shows, Dave, for the postseason. It's going to be a great postseason for sure. Some our teams are going. Of course, everyone practically makes the playoffs, but hey, we want to get some good seedings. We want to get some good wins in there, and we've got some great games here this week, Dave, in the Grossmont Hills League, in the Grossmont Valley League, and more. We'll preview our. We got 8 games to talk about and look at least, anyways. And man, we had a good time on Friday night, didn't we? With the Grossmont
Pillars.
Pillars, yeah. Getting it done there to improve to 3-0 and take command last week over the West Hills Wolfpack. A good game. West Hills gave it a ample try there. We know Grossmont head and shoulders right now in the Valley League. They probably have the championship lined up, but they still got to go through the last couple of games here, Dave.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because I actually just a few minutes ago um, was talking with Coach Lawrence, and he was saying, well, of course, he enjoyed it just as much as us for having Tyler and Colton on, and
Absolutely.
they
Mm-hmm.
had a good time.
Oh,
And
good.
I was just telling him the football IQ that the two of them have is off the
Mm-hmm.
charts.
Yeah.
Uh, and then of course, Lawrence said we're never looking past an opponent. Elkhorn Valley is not the best team we will play this year, but we will still have to play hard and execute to win. In football, you can never disrespect an opponent or disrespect the game itself. So each opponent gets everything that the Hillers have. Um,
Now it's great to
where
have
we where we
uh,
will land where we will land, but the best way to prepare for the playoffs is to win football games. And guess what? Our next football game is against Elkhorn Valley. So they're
mhm.
not looking to the playoffs quite yet, and they have an understanding that hey, could be any given Friday that there could be an upset. Shoot, we had a craziest game I'd ever seen in the NFL this week, or Sunday anyway, and so anything could happen at high school too, I guess.
And we'll see where the Hillers land, Dave. But right now, it looks like Division 2 for Grossmont, which would be pretty good. I don't think they're gonna fall too much. It feels like they'll be in Division 2, but we'll maybe talk about that a little bit next week as well. We get ready for the season finales and see where teams stand a little bit. I think only an upset loss next week for Grossmont would be that maybe that could knock him down to Division 3. In fact, Division 2 will be pretty tough, actually, considering their position. We know we've got them ranked pretty good in our little poll, but I think overall in the overall standings they were 26th this week. We have them a little bit higher, but I'll tell you about that when we get there. And thanks for joining us, everybody, whether you're watching live or on replay on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, wherever you're watching us. Thank you for watching all season long here with us. Just a couple of weeks left, and the championships are not yet official. Of course, we know that, but we'll talk about those as well here and where everybody stands, Dave, this week heading into the final 2 weeks of the season. But we'll have some great fun for the next month or so, getting ready right with also the end of the season as well. So good
Yeah,
to
and I
have.
want to thank the coaches that do take the time out. They have practices to run, and they have to pretty much focus on that. So, to the coaches that do give us the time of day and give us some quotes to use for the show, what they think about the up and coming games and the other team that they're going to play against that week. I think is fantastic. Thank you, coaches, for that. And then
Mhm.
our sponsors, we always mention them at the beginning of the show and at the end of the show. Granite Mortgage, Lakeside Equipment, and I always like to add also the Patriots statistician uh, owns Lakeside Equipment, and that would be Robert Davila. And then again, always Touchdown Plumbing.
Yeah, thanks to our sponsors here this season. Hey, if you want to be a sponsor of the show, reach out to Dave or I, and we'd love to have you here. We'd love to. We'll make you a commercial. I don't know, Dave. All right, we got some great games this week, and we're going to reach back into the archives a little bit, Dave, for our
All right.
first matchup. Yeah, why not? I mean, you're a former Wolfpack, and it's always great to talk about the Santee Mayor's Trophy Award here, given to the winner of the game between Santana and West Hills. And hey, this one has more than just a trophy on the line. The winner will still be alive, technically, Dave, for the league championship. Yes, Grossmont would need to stumble a little bit. They have 2 more games left against the Braves, but they do host Monte Vista in the last game. Monte Vista capable of playing well and pulling off an upset. We know that they've been a little bit up and down, but a good program that can win at any time against any team in the Valley League. So, but let's talk about these two, Dave. Friends wait every year to battle it out in Santee, right? From West Santee to Mass Boulevard, all the way down, right? But with Santana coming in here, a little bit of momentum, Dave, with the win over Monte Vista last week. They got a big score from Maddox Iso. Remember, he returned a blocked field goal, 81 yards for a touchdown last week. Made a big play for Santana. West Hills comes in here, of course. Dave, off the big loss to Grossmont. Dave, they played well. They scored 27 points against Grossmont. That was a season high for the Wolfpack, right? We know it was a rough go for the first part of the season, Dave. West Hills lost their first 5 games, all the non-league games they lost. And then they caught fire, won the 2 league games to set up that big game last week. Did feel like it was kind of like the championship game in a way because both teams were 2-0. That's why we're in this situation now. Grossmont 3-0. The winner of this game will be 3-1, and there's no tiebreakers in high school football. So if Grossmont were to stumble in the final week of the season and one of these 2 teams wins their final 2 games, they can share in the Grossmont Valley League Championship. So I think this is our big game of the week, Dave, because the perpetual trophy is on the line. It's always a great game with Santana and West Hills, and got to win if you want to win that. Have a chance to share that title with Grossmont.
Yeah, and speaking of that game, I did get to watch that game in its entirety against the Hillers, and I think that really I haven't heard from Coach Ash as of yet. However, my thoughts, it seems in the non-league games and in league games, they like to get off to they don't get off to a fast start. They're scoring most of their points in the later part of the fourth quarter or the beginning of the fourth quarter, as far as offensively, is when they get real hot. I know last week, Coach Ash was talking about possibly winning on special teams. That didn't take place. You know what I noticed though, and you wrote about it also, is how close the punters are as far as average yardage. And a lot of people don't think about those types of things and those numbers and how hard these punters work and how much of a key it really is to pin somebody back on their 2 yard line or 1 yard line, if you will. But Slozowski and shoot, I had his name up here. Help me out here from Santana, the punter over there.
Yeah, for sure, Dave. That's what I did. I mentioned those guys in the preview this week. The Sultans Tatum Morehouse. These are the 2 top punters in the East County. They're actually two of the top punters in the entire county, but they have the two best averages. So I thought, you know what, it might be with this game kind of going to be a defensive game, Dave, that may come down to like the punters just back and forth here. Look, you have to pick a score. I said it might be, you know, one team, they both might, you know, get close to 20 points, but it's going to be hard. This is going to be a defensive game for sure. You know, you look back at the two previous matchups, they were both kind of, you know, last year was actually 38-21. West Hills got the best of them for sure. And they've won 8 of the last 10 meetings. But the year before that, it was 14-0. West Hills won at home to win the title then. Santana did win back in 2022, just 10-3. So high scoring game last year, but then 14-0 the year before that, 10-3 the year before that. Could be another, you know, low scoring game here this week for sure, I would think.
Well, you mentioned a few of the Santana players, and I remember a specific instance of how we were talking to him and where he was, and that's Maddox Iso, who returned a blocked field goal for an 81-yard touchdown last week.
Mm-hmm.
And if you remember, he was at El Capitan in the parking lot when we were doing the preview because he was over there trying to get his driver's license, I guess doing the behind the wheel simulator, if you will, and talked to us from the whole. Hey, he stayed there for quite a bit, and then we talked to him from his car. And funny that he runs that back because he had mentioned specifically that he wanted to have a couple of run backs, and that was his big goal for the season. So he definitely got that in blocking the field goal and taking it for 81 yards. But I think he's going to be one of the keys to whether Santana, whether they can defeat the Wolfpack also, because I still give West Hills home field advantage is the first thing.
Yeah.
But you also mentioned Caleb Carnes, who added a rushing touchdown. So this defense, though, we've seen them do some good things as far as the Wolfpack are concerned, and it seems like Evan Dill has the ball about every other play. You'd think he probably has bruises all over himself, but he's and he's not a very big kid, but he's very quick. The way he jukes a lot of the play, he even carries players on the defensive side of the ball, and he can average sometimes 6-7 yards just running the ball, which he had 64 last week in 92 passing. So he's a dual threat, and that's against he will be against the Santana Sultans.
Yeah, like I said, Dave, it was really the best game offensively for West Hills against Grossmont. Maybe some of it came at the end, towards the end of the game, but still, for a team that kind of had some pedestrian-like numbers offensively, 27 points against, one of the best teams in the East County here, obviously, with the Grossmont Foothillers right now. Dill had 156 total yards last week, 64 on the ground and 92 yards passing and 2 touchdowns in the loss in that performance. So I think West Hills, did a pretty good job. I think they actually kind of came in there, what we thought it would be. We knew what Grossmont would be a considerable favorite in the game, but to me, it really looked like a great job actually there by West Hills last week to kind of hang in there. Ethan Miller did return to the lineup, Dave, from that hard hit that he suffered against Grossmont and came back, and he'll be important as well for Santana. So the quarterbacks will be, a factor here for sure. So I think this is going to be a close game, man. I'm not sure that I could even pick a winner here. Now, I would say here that you said home field. So is that the deciding factor between these two teams right now?
I think it really is, because if you look, like we said, we just we just compared the punters, and they almost got identical average punts.
Mhm.
And really, Ethan Miller and Evan Dill, they, they've got some. I would say Ethan's got a little bit of the edge there, um, as far as his touchdowns and as far as his passing game. But let's not forget too that the Sultans also have more runners than they do at West Hills. But I think it's going to be the loudness of the fans, and I don't know. There's something about that Smurf Field that I think it's not a vertigo thing, but I think that gives them an edge every time they played at West Hills, and it would be vice versa if they were to play on the east side of town.
Yeah, but West Hills had Jacob Romeo, running back. I think he's had a pretty good run here, if you will, of late. Miller has 1,000 yards passing and 11 touchdowns. He's really the top quarterback in the Grossmont Valley League. Because the Foothillers have been a running team, so Miller really has the best statistics. Dave, 11 touchdowns as well for Miller, and that's basically missed the whole Grossmont game when he got knocked out of the game basically early in the first quarter. So his statistics were a little bit depressed there. So I'm going to think so too, Dave. I'm going to just take the home field edge, and that's going to be my determining factor, I think, in this game. I think it's too close to call. Respect what both teams have done this season. Terrific this season so far for Santana and for West Hills. I know it says 2-6 there, Dave, but they've come in here in league play and won 2 games and played well against Grossmont despite a 3 touchdown loss. But it was their best offensive performance, and it came against the best team in the Valley League.
And again, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but I think if they start fast and they could keep that foot on the gas pedal, maybe even win the takeaway battle. I think that's in their favor as well. But I'm still going to say 2017 West Hills in this one.
Okay. Well, I probably should take Santana so we have an even representation on this one because it's so close. But I think the home field edge, and don't forget, and like I said, West Hills has won the last 2 meetings, and look, Santana's 5-3, West Hills is 2-6. I don't know, that isn't the tiebreaker for me here. I think it kind of throw the records out the window a little bit, and it feels like just that home field edge. It's funny because there were a couple times when they won on the opposite team's home field, but I'm going to go. You said 20-17. I was going to go like 19-17. So that's right there, Dave. Very, very close. I don't even think it's fair that we're one-siding here with West Hills because Santana has every legitimate chance. It might come down to the wire. And you mentioned Slukowski, right? He's a good field goal kicker too, and we'll just see who has the last boot maybe in this game against West Hills here, and who's going to get it on Friday night and keep that trophy. Will West Hills keep the trophy, or will Santana get to drive it back home down Mass Boulevard there on Friday night? Man, this is our game of the week.
Well, I can tell you it'll be packed stands both sides, and I can tell you already, our man, our guy, the photographer of the year, as far as I'm concerned, in the county, our man Vic Morano will be there to capture the action on his photographic equipment.
Yep, I remember last year West Hills celebrating with the trophy again, and see if they can do it. See if Santana. Good luck to both those teams this week. Should be a great one there at West Hills. All right, we're on the pack, I guess. So let's go through the Valley League here real quick, Dave, and just treat it as such. we'll get to those big games in a moment over in the Valley League. But I've got Valhalla here going to take on Monte Vista. Look, this looks like a good game actually here right now on paper. Monte Vista comes in off of that loss to Santana, 14-7 last week. Valhalla, meanwhile, beat the Braves 38-0 to snap that 6-game losing streak and pick up that first league win. So both teams come in 1-2 here, Dave. A league title pretty much out of the grasp realistically, but Liam Hypes ran wild for the Norsemen for 177 yards and 2 touchdowns. Jackson Newman had 120 yards rushing and 3 scores last week against the Braves. The Monarchs here, though, at home, Dave, probably have a little bit of edge on these guys. Monte Vista won last year 38-21 at Valhalla, and they're probably better here. They're going to be favored in this game, Dave, to win here. But I will say this: the computers are split actually, and the old computer, the one that the San Diego section doesn't use anymore, actually has Valhalla as a favorite in this game by 2 points.
Well, I'm looking at, yes, Valhalla did snap the 6-game losing streak, and hats off to them. And I expected Newman to go to the air more than his rushing yards. I expected more of those to go through the air, but he did definitely put up some 3 scores. But the thing is, we got to look at the other side of the coin, and the Monarchs have been great on defense. No shock to that, because why not? They got Paige Culver coaching their defense, and he has been one heck of a coach all season long and for many years. And they're averaging 13.8 points per game that are being allowed.
Wow.
Sounds like the defensive juggernaut in the county to me. So I think it is going to be, there's not going to be any 38 points being scored in Spring Valley. I can tell you that much. I think it's going to be a much closer, probably game one in the trenches. Whose offensive line is going to be standing up, and who's going to run the rock, I think, is what it's going to come down to, and who can run it into the end zone. And for Valhalla, it's going to be very difficult. It's not going to be as it was, no offense to Elkhorn Valley Braves, but they're facing a very tough Monte Vista, especially in their league. But I think in the county, they're one of the top defenses.
That's a great point, because some of the other, we know that those those elite teams that are facing each other in some of those games, like in the open, all those top teams, they play some great games, but there's some wild games too, right? And the final score is like, 35-34 and stuff like that. If you go down and look at the points allowed, yeah, you're playing, kind of the teams that you kind of fit in with. But Monte Vista has allowed 14 points or less to every opponent this season except for one, and that was in that 38-0 loss to El Capitan. But other than that, they allowed just 14 to Santana last week. They shut out the Braves. They gave up just 7 to West Hills, even though West Hills River won that game 7-6. But 14 to Coastal, 12 to Castle Park, 12 to Kearney, and 13 to Crawford. If you looked up and down the list, you're right, Dave. They have one of the best defensive points allowed in the county. Like I said, they played it's against similar ilk, but that's how we measure it kind of here right now. When you're going up against a similar team like Valhalla, I think that's where Monte Vista is going to be able to. I don't know if I agree. Maybe that old computer, that they had a little dispute, the San Diego section and the guy who runs his little computer, and the section was using their ratings, and they don't get along. And so the San Diego section said, we're going to go back to the old rating system and forget this guy. Well, his computer has Valhalla winning this game this week. No disrespect. Valhalla, great job snapping that losing streak last week, getting the blowout win of the Braves. But I feel like the Monarchs are the other computer that I kind of refer to as Monta Vista favored in this one by almost 3 touchdowns. I think that's more realistic here. I think Monta Vista can win this one probably by about 10 points. Actually, and I think it is because of the defense. It'll be very hard for Valhalla, I think, to get more than 2 touchdowns in this game.
Yeah, I was going to say about the same. I don't think quite 3 touchdowns, but definitely by 14 for Monta Vista. I will be shocked if they are going to air it out much. But Valhalla doesn't have the number one secondary or anything, so I wouldn't be surprised if they do air it out. But I think they're going to try to keep it on the ground for as long as they can. Use up the time, keep the ball possession. That's going to be part of it too. Is going to the amount of time that they possess the ball,
Mhm.
and then get into that end zone, and then give it to the defense and let them do their thing. And maybe, who knows, even punching the ball out and starting off at the short side of the field. So I think that would be the key as far as if I was coaching. But hey, Paige Culver, you're a legend. I'm not a coach. I'm just a guy looking at some facts, and hopefully it does end up 2 touchdowns for the Monta Vista Monarchs, and they haven't really had a terrible season in quite a few years now. I mean, they just won a championship last year. Are they as good as they were last year? It's hard to say. I mean, different opponents, a couple of different opponents in the non-league, but hey, if they win the next 2 games, you never know. And like you said, if Grossmont stumbles, and that is going to be one of the games that they could stumble. Now, they don't have Villanueva like they did last year, which was a huge part of why they were able to uh, take down Grossmont. But this year, they don't have such that dynamic runner, if you will. So count on the defense, and I think that they're going to take care of the Norsemen. Like I said, more like a 14-0, possibly, and shutting them out.
Yeah, and of course, Monta Vista didn't win the league title last year. We know that title belonged to El Capitan, but like you said, they got on a roll there, and when they were in Division 5 last year, that was a great setup for them, and they rolled through the playoffs. Remember, not rolled through. I mean, they had the most exciting playoffs of all time. Remember being Fallbrook by
Oh
1
yeah,
point, beat Hoover by 1 point, and then kind of clubbed Vista there for the championship. And then remember, they won those playoff games too for that incredible run. So look, I'll break it down and let everybody know where I think the teams will end up in the playoffs. Maybe next week, heading into those games and seeing where they'll land. But I think look, that's all you got to do in the way the San Diego section runs it. Our teams, we won a lot of champions. That just shows. I think that shows how good East County football is, Dave. Remember all those El Capitan, Monta Vista, the champions from last year, all scored when we got into the divisions and the way the section does it. So kind of interesting that we do well in the playoffs. It feels like, or at least currently. So we'll see where the teams land. And I'm going to take Monarchs here by 10 points.
yeah, Ramon. And how long have we had this same conversation about how the East County is always forgotten, and we focus more on the North County, all the other outlets, and maybe the Lincolns and the La Costa Canyons, and a lot of our teams get lost in the shuffle. But I can tell you, uh, our teams in the valley and in the hills, you know what? They can play and they can keep up with some of those teams in the North County. So, uh, just something I want to put out there. Don't forget about us, because we've had quite a few trophies brought home to our end of the county.
No doubt about it. And with it, more news will shake down here. Maybe we'll talk about it when we get over the Hills League. But this week it's Cathedral against Lincoln and La Costa Canyon against Carlsbad. So you do have powerhouses meeting here in the next to last week of the season. Okay, good luck to those teams. And at Valhalla, look, they actually might be a little bit more bigger, a little bit size wise. I think they are maybe a little bit bigger than Monta Vista, but just Monta Vista's cohesive defense, it feels like, and maybe more winning experience, it feels like here for me. And you mentioned that 14 points per game average. So Brody Chartel and the Valhalla defense, this will be a game where they can compete for sure. And look, we've talked about Newman and his abilities. Just that they were playing. They scheduled a tough non-league schedule. A little bit disappointed that they were able that they. I don't want to say because when our teams play each other, but I think they feel like maybe they should have 2 wins at Valhalla. They had a pretty tough non-league schedule. Just end up on the wrong side after that season opening win on the road. Okay, so we're on the Monarchs there, both of us here. Let's look at the last game here, Dave. Not a close game, but we do want to talk about Grossmont here. I have ranked 21, Dave, in the county right now, ahead of Helix. Here coming in, ranked at 21st, taking on the Braves.
You want to say that again?
No, I don't. But wasn't that funny how I applauded them last week and said, hey, take it from a Highlander. You guys are probably, this would be the year that you could definitely give them a game and it would be close, I would think, for sure, because they've had such a great season, Dave. 7-1. This is one where I think we can start to look at Grossmont. I think they will be a Division II team when it comes to the postseason. It was great to have the guys last week joining us on the show and getting to talk to them a little bit because they've had just a tremendous season. And funny, Dave, we were talking with and it's still early in Coach Lawrence's coaching career, right? We'll be old and wrinkled if we weren't already. By the time, hopefully, hey, he's a mastermind. Look, he may never leave Grossmont, Dave. He may go there and with his dad coaching the flag team, and they do so much together. And maybe Coach Lawrence will be there in 20 years still, but I don't know. I have a feeling that he's kind of a mastermind. This might be just a stepping stone one day for Coach Lawrence here, especially if you start putting winning seasons together like this. Okay, granted, move back down to the Valley League here, but hey, they also went 4-1 in their non-league games, right? So, and they've been impressive for 2 years here now with Coach Lawrence. But the funny thing is, Dave, for all the passing that they did last season, this is a running team. In fact, they've got the best, some of the best running backs in the East County right now this season with A.J. Hooker and Corbin Dow. They've combined for over 1,050 yards this season, and Holmes has been a great runner as well. Grossmont's a running team.
Well, I want to also, what was missing, and I think we've talked about it quite a few times also, and just adding a couple of guys. We know the two. One of them was on the show after they did have their win. Is Burke and also Mr. Ryder Robinson. They get into that backfield and they just wreak havoc. And if they don't get the sack, they are going to get a scoop and score. If they don't get that, they're going to have some serious duress, and there's going to be a possible interception, or they're going to have to throw it away. So it's a tall order for the Elkhorn Valley Braves. With that being said, talk to Coach Simon. Just a little brief reply. He said he believes anyone in high school is beatable. We've played some pretty bad games these last two, which I can take the blame for preparation-wise. He feels that they will be way more prepared than these last two games. So, who knows? Obviously, Grossmont's got the running game. They have the defense. They win the takeaway game in just about every game they've played as well. I think it was I don't know if it was last game or the game before that, but they were able to hit every receiver they have in their receiving core. So
Mhm.
it's going to be a long night, especially for those two-way players from El Cajon Valley, and I don't know, those corners are facing some pretty fast and large, uh, meaning tall receivers, tight end like receivers. So yeah, uh, boy, it'd really have to be something. Something really have to go wrong with the scheme as far as Gross Grossmont's concerned, or Simon could be a mastermind for this game and win by 3. But let's not forget, Ryder Robinson leads the East County with 10 sacks, and the Hillers have all the momentum basically going into this one. But as I said before, Coach Lawrence isn't looking past the Braves. He's not going to take it easy on them. He is going to give them 100% of the Hillers. And they said that last week. They being Tyler Holmes and also uh, Burke as well, that
Mhm.
they were definitely going to give them 100%.
With Grossmont, Dave has been in the Hills League for so many years. They actually haven't even played the Braves, Dave, in several years now. It's been well over 10 years since the last time Grossmont took on El Cajon Valley. And, I think that Coach Lawrence here, look, uh, maybe it's our job to, I don't know, say kind of what the final score will be so that, we're trying to gauge the teams. We're not trying to put anybody down or anything. We just want to let how the world works, right? I know everybody knows how the game is supposed to go here, right? But hey, watch out for Rashawn Barr of El Cajon Valley. He leads the East County with 4 interceptions this season. And of course, you mentioned Robinson of Grossmont, 10 sacks this season. Uh, 13 is the most. A couple guys have 13 sacks in the county, but Ryder Robinson is right there as one of the top sack men in all the county. So Foothillers are heading towards their best finish, Dave, since 2016. The last time Grossmont met El Cajon Valley, I think, was in 2009, and the final score in that one was 28-0. And look, I think it's going to be more than 28-0 here, but I don't know if it's going to be, 56-0 here. Maybe it will. I have a feeling that Coach Lawrence is going to make sure that all of his seniors play in the game. Everyone gets a lot of playing time. They can win this game. This is the true name the score type of situation, but it's a great chance to get everyone in there, get some experience, and let others play, and don't get anybody hurt too. Don't forget. So look, the Braves have 2 wins. They're going to be. I think I have their record. I think they're actually 2-6 in there. I'll just correct it there real quick. But look, the Braves. You look at it again, Dave. I just said right. Our team's getting the playoffs. Watch out! Watch out for the Braves in the playoffs. I promise you. Once they get into playing the teams that are like them, they're going to be one of the best. They're going to have a chance to win some playoff games, Dave. Not just one, but maybe 2, because of
And
the structure of the playoffs in San Diego.
I mean, they have a lot of speed in the running game. They have some very speedy receivers, um, and they can definitely throw a long ball. Um, so I'm not looking at a 56-0. I'm actually going to give El Cajon Valley a little more credit than that, and I'm going to say Grossmont wins 42-14.
Yeah, that'd be great. It'd be great. Get everybody. That doesn't mean the backups can't go in there and do a great job too. Grossmont's going to be bigger, stronger, all that. So again, Braves just keep working and be ready for the postseason and use a game like this to better yourselves and get ready, because the Braves can do something here. I feel like once we get to the postseason, Dave, and hopefully get a win there. Hopefully they do get in. It's going to be close there. I think. I think there are a couple teams that maybe don't get in, and the Braves are near the list. But the if they get in, watch out. Okay,
Well,
have that right.
look at what Monte Vista did. Even though they got bumped in, I mean, but they got an opportunity, and boy, did they run with it. I want to always bring that up because that could be the Braves. You never know. I mean, at their division, at their league, or I should say division level, hey, you never know if they can't go out there, like you said, and win not a playoff game, but a couple of playoff games.
Yeah,
So
it's going to be
they,
close. The Braves could be in that position like Monte Vista was in actually last year. So we'll have to see. They might end up out. I'll have more on that next week to let you know who's in, who's out. Braves could use Braves could use a win. I know it won't be this one, but they do close out the season here next week. And it's like I said, if they could get one win, it would be important. They play West Hills at home. If they could get that one, that would be a huge victory for them. Okay, well, enough of that here. That was to be a little bit one-sided. Let's get to the Grossmont Hills League here, Dave, and take a look here at Steel Canyon, number 17 right now. Yeah, you know what, Dave? Steel Canyon ended up on the short end of that game last week against the Mount Miguel Matadors, but got to think that here at Helix, Dave, look, Helix is 3-6. Now that is a different record than we saw last Friday night. They were awarded a forfeit in that week 1 game against El Camino. I don't have the details of it right now. I think I'll try to get that, but they were awarded the victory in that 31-21 loss to El Camino. Something has gone on here. Obviously, I don't have the details. I just caught wind of it last night, actually. So Helix is 3-6. They're 2-7 on the field here, but they do get Steel Canyon at home. It's been an incredible season for Steel Canyon. We know that. And maybe Steel Canyon is probably expected to win here. The computers are actually split on this one, Dave. The old computer has Steel Canyon 4-point favorite, and another computer has Helix as a touchdown favorite here. So this one's going to be good. It feels like, we know when we go through our games each week, Dave, sometimes we know who's going to win, like Grossmont, El Cajon, and even some of the better matchups. We still kind of know who's expected to win. I don't know if I know which team is going to win. I know Steel Canyon with that record is probably the team that everyone thinks is going to win. Maybe I'm going to homer it up here with you, Dave, and take the Highlanders this week. But I think being at home does help them here.
well, I picked Helix a couple of times this year, more than I have in the past, but this time we're going to disagree, and I'm going to take the Steel Canyon Cougars. And I mean, it just comes down to, I mean, the last game they lost about just tipping the ball and not being able to bring that one down. That could have been a difference in the game, and Steel Canyon could have gone on to the win. They didn't. Boy, that's got to really hurt when you're the player that actually. I don't care what level you're at. You're going to play that back in your mind several times, and you're going to correct it and make sure that you correct it 100%. Meanwhile, I mean, we've heard about Gavin Kaha all year long, and for good reason. 13, 31 yards, 15 touchdowns, and their defense, don't leave them out. We did mention Monte Vistas, but now we're talking about the Hills, and they're only allowing, get this, even less than the 13, 11.4 per game.
Ooh.
So I just think it came down to that tip. If he would have caught that ball, we could have been talking about an undefeated Steel Canyon Cougar team. And I watched the Helix Highlanders against the Eagles in its entirety. Helix put 100% effort into it. Whether they were running the ball, and Lester had to run the ball quite a bit himself. it just was a real tough game for them. I mean, especially the interior of the Granite Hills Eagles, and well, quite frankly, and at the safety position and the corners, it's very difficult to be airing it out. And I think Leicester even played a pretty decent game. They did get 2 scores. I just think they were overmatched in every position. Bigger, faster, stronger, and that's what happened there. This game here, I don't think it's going to be 40-14. However, I think Steel Canyon's going to have this one on the road. I'm giving Helix the fans, and I'm thinking that maybe the running game gets started for Helix and really makes a difference. But boy, that's a stingy number. So we better, or maybe even some trick plays, Coach Jones, that you got prepared specifically for the Cougars, because this is going to be another tall order, unfortunately. But we are Helix, and we are in the hills, and we got to play the difficult teams like the Steel Canyon Cougars. And none of us saw the Cougars being where they are, even at the 7-1 and 1-1 in the hills right now. Um, Helix is 0-2 in the Hills League. Uh, it's pretty much you have to win out. Uh, I think for Helix, yeah, they'll get into the playoffs, but I think they'd rather win out and finish at 500 in league play. But I'm going to definitely go with Steel Canyon, and I'm going to pick them by 2 touchdowns.
And make no mistake, Dave, Steel Canyon needs to win this game if they want to stay alive for the league championship. They can win this game, play Granite Hills next week. If they can upset Granite Hills, it is at Granite Hills. Granite Hills is awesome, but they would be 3-1. Granite Hills would finish 3-1. So Steel Canyon, this is a championship game for them necessary to stay alive here. You mentioned Lee Wiggles last week, Norman Lester. He was the star of the game there, actually, with those touchdowns there last week in the loss there, but nonetheless for Helix here, they had Jordan Lindley had a rushing touchdown. Jacob Andrew Johnson had a touchdown as well, but Lee Wiggles was pretty good for Helix there, and did get that victory there against El Capitan. I better get it right there. To get that first league victory of the season. I think I had it wrong in the story there, so I'll fix that. But they did pick up that league win, and look, they can get a second win here, and if they can do this, they'll finish 2-2 in the Hills League, right? So that would be a pretty good finish for Helix. And like I said, they're 3-6. I mean, they're headed to the postseason, of course, so they can still get things done, and they might. They might also be in there in Division 2. It's going to be close, actually. So for Steel Canyon, no doubt, Gavin Saha has been terrific. 1,300 yards, 15 touchdowns this season. It's been good, but in his career here so far at Steel Canyon. But Dave, really the key for Steel Canyon, I don't know if they have a nickname for these guys. This defensive line, Sebastian Castellon, Dante Brown, Gunnar Minich, and Tyree Zakarian. These guys have combined this season, Dave, for 19 sacks between the 4 defensive players for Steel Canyon. Man, they got to have some kind of what were the Cougars' den? But I don't know. I'm trying to think of something here, but I think it's gonna be a close. I'm gonna take Helix by a point.
Yeah, you remember, I can't remember both the first and last name. You will if I give it to you. He was on the same team as Fishburne, and it was Mikkel. You remember? Huge.
Oliver.
Oh my goodness, that guy was getting quotes from a guy that big. Holy cow, you're looking up but it might be something like that on this line. But you mentioned before, and I'm even looking at that. Eagles better be worried, unfortunately, because Steel Canyon knocks off Helix. They're going to be coming with a vengeance for the Eagles. And let's face it, we have seen some of the most tremendous, greatest games I've ever seen at Valley Stadium with Steel Canyon, or if it was over at Steel Canyon, they always meet throw the records out because these two, they love to play each other. I think Scott Longerbone and Coach Cobbs, they love to try and outsmart each other and see who's going to come up with the W. Maybe somebody has to buy dinner in the round for uh, who knows how that goes, but that will be a very large game, especially if they are to defeat the Helix Highlanders. I'm picking Steel Canyon, yeah, by 2 touchdowns.
Okay, fair enough. We'll have a game to go against one another for sure in this one. I gotta take my Highlanders here. Feels like in this one, Dave, for 1 week here anyway. And,
I've
pull off,
taken it more times than you have.
yeah, pull off a little bit of an upset. Like I said, the old computer or one computer does have Helix here. A little bit, maybe they're going on tradition. It does feel like maybe Steel Canyon should be the favorite in this game, given their great season. The fact that Helix has been down a little bit for sure. Okay, great job there on that one. Let's go to the other game here in the Gross Spot Hills League, and number 8 Granite Hills here taking on El Capitan. And El Capitan looking here for their first league win. I know it's going to be a tough task. They're going to be massive underdogs here, but they are at home. Get the Eagles here at home. One time they've had some big upsets here, but this year it's a little bit different. We got Granite Hills here. Still one of the top teams in the league, Dave. The way the situation is kind of shaking out right now, still going to be very, very difficult for the Granite Hills to reach the open division. Number 1, Lincoln plays number 4, Cathedral Catholic. We have Cathedral Catholic a little bit farther down in our poll, but in the ratings right now this week, it's number 4, Cathedral Catholic, and number 1, Lincoln, and then number 5, La Costa Canyon against number 3, Carlsbad. Ranked second is Mission Hills. Officially did let go the Coach Hauser this week. It just feels like a crummy situation up there. Like without getting into it, Dave, I'm sure that it's a little bit of overstepping there at the. I don't want to get into it, but still, we'll see. Granted, all they can do is win here and hope for the best. And then really what they need to have happen probably, I would think, is La Costa Canyon to lose to Carlsbad. That maybe could help there. It's not going to help because it's still La Costa Canyon losing to a team above them. They're probably not going to lose that much on their ratings points. So with Lincoln expected to win as well, they can only hope that Cathedral and La Costa Canyon do lose those games. Granite Hills needs to win out to try to sneak in. They're not done yet trying to get into the top 4. They still could do it. They're just going to I don't know how it's going to work out. It's going to be very close, but they'll win this game. I know that.
Oh, I think before I give you what Coach Cobb said, anyway, what I was going to say before that is that game that we played at Granite Hills played against Cathedral Catholic. I still think maybe you can call me a homer all you want, but I think that some of that laundry that landed on the field was a little too convenient for Cathedral Catholic in quite a few instances, and I bet you at least 75% of the viewers and the people that were actually watching that game know that also that Granite Hills they'd pick up a first down or they'd be getting ready to go into the end zone and there's another flag, and I don't think they were treated fairly in that game there. I think they might have even been able to, and if they got another chance, I think that they would beat Cathedral Catholic. That's just my opinion. Now let's get to what Coach Kellen Cobb said about the El Capitan game. I had asked him if Cody Vickers is going to get in there and they're going to start playing their second string, because I was impressed the last two times that Vickers had gone in. Uh, his response to that, we will see what happens. Hopefully, we will take care of business early and get some guys rotated into the fourth quarter. It was good to get some guys rotated in the fourth quarter last time. Um, they hadn't gotten in a few weeks. Brody is a very competitive kid and a good athlete. Think he would start at a lot of places across the county. Great baseball player as well. Definitely somebody we can continue to develop and is a great option as a number two, which is even better because uh, Benitez is only a junior. So you have one more year with Benitez and some good tutelage from Benitez and continuing to develop Vickers. He could slide right in there. We've seen it happen before. Back I forget his last name, but at the moment, but Chris, and then I think they did like a three quarterback rotation where the younger quarterback was taken over after the senior had graduated, back all the way back to Jake Siegfried. Um, but anyhow, uh, definitely somebody we can continue to develop and is a great option for number two. Have a bunch of different receivers continuing to make plays, which they do. Talk about a plethora. It's nice since we don't have to just focus on one kid. Obviously, Noah Walker is probably the premier guy in the group, but Tristan Diaz has been our most complete receiver all year, which he has. And more good news for the Eagles. Isaiah Rodriguez should be coming back this week from the knee surgery. So would like to get him going as well. I was asking about his thoughts on the Vaqueros. He did say number 3 is a good player. They have a big tight end there. Defense flies to the ball. They will be fine in D3 or 4 if they stay healthy. So great compliments to his opponent, the El Capitan Vaqueros. And I think he's right there too. I think they could end up in D3 and make some noise as far as El Capitan is concerned. But this one, uh, there's just too much firepower on both sides of the ball. I mean, even Nunez can kick the ball as far as you want him to kick it, I think, as far as the Granite Hills kicker. And what was it last week? A different Smith, Zayden Smith, caught 2 balls last week for a touchdown. Tristan Diaz, 52 receptions, second in San Diego County. DJ Wilkins, 470 yards, 4 touchdowns in the air attack. And I mean, let's not forget, Davion Williams is their feature back and pretty much their big runner and getting the big chunks. Occasionally, I've noticed that they will start Spalding to see what he can do, and I think they want to get him some more time as well once they get ahead in the game and they feel comfortable. But let's not forget about El Capitan's Hayden Panisi. I mean, he's had 820 yards passing. He didn't even play every game this season. And defenders, Bruin Ford, we've heard his name, I think, just about every game El Capitan has played. And he's got 4.5 sacks, and Matthew Eckes with 4 sacks, 8.5 sacks right there. So, you know what? I think that the Eagles better. I mean, they got some guys up front that are pretty big, but these guys, they got to keep these guys out. And although we know that Zach also can recognize them coming in, and he's a pretty speedy guy himself. And how many guys can he throw to? He can throw to his running back too, so he's got 5 targets. So this one probably going to be the one I pick highest because it just is what it is. I'm picking the Eagles 42, El Capitan. I'm even going to give them another touchdown. So 42-14, Granite Hills wins.
Yeah, it should be right around there. Again, Granite Hills can go in and kind of name the score a little bit, but it is a little bit tougher than that other game we talked about that's a blowout this week. And hey, Spencer Chastain of El Capitan, did you hear that? Coach Cobbs has you on his radar. He said number 3, and let him know your name, Spencer. We can make a big play here against the Eagles and get a touchdown, whether it be on offense or defense. Spencer Chastain's had a great season. I imagine he might been some great players on that. You mentioned passing EC at quarterback. You mentioned that great defenders. I don't know, but I think that when they get to the postseason spaghetti dinner there in at El Capitan, I think they're going to give that team MVP might be Spencer Chastain. I don't know, but he's had an incredible year for sure, doing it all over the place. So yeah, I'm going to take him here and take Granite by at least 4 or 5 touchdowns, maybe even a little more. It just depends what they want to do and what they need to do. But El Capitan, look, I mentioned that game against Helix, 41-21. They did score 21 points in that game against Helix. So look, they proved that they can score against these big teams, and they are at home. So I think El Capitan could have a good showing. Because look, Dave, they're another one of those teams that won the championship last year, right? You don't need to win. Well, we know they won the league title too down there in the old Valley League, but just get on a roll in the postseason, given where the division that they'll be in. I think El Capitan can get it rolling too. Stay healthy in this one, El Capitan, and get ready for that postseason here. And hey, you know what, El Capitan, they might get a chance to win that last game of the season. They'll be at home against Mount Miguel there. So you know what, anything could happen in that one too. Wouldn't mind seeing El Capitan at least get one league win, but Mount Miguel is going to want to have a good game too there next week. Okay.
Absolutely. And before we get into our next one, I did get, I know Coach Ash is running a practice and getting ready for that Mayor's Cup. And just gave me a couple tidbits. The team that plays the hardest and the smartest usually wins rivalry games. We will need to play our best game thus far, but I know we do have it in us to do so. Win turnovers, avoid stupid penalties, and finish strong.
Yeah, and that's from a team that's won 2 league games. He knows what it's going to take, right, in that game because of the rivalry, city championship on the line. You need to keep your head on straight, because that's what happens in the big rivalry game like that. Sometimes it gets so heated. Don't make that big mistake. Don't hit that. Don't make that extra hit. Don't do that hit after the whistle. That's going to cost your team 15 big yards when every yard matters in that.
No horse collars. You don't need any of that.
So, okay, that's that game is our game of the week for sure. Steel Canyon Helix should be a very close game as well, but I think Santana West Hills, that's our Grossmont Conference game of the week for sure this week. All right, that's a look at the Grossmont Conference. Dave, we've got a few more games to look at here, and will be a game at Granite Hills High here this week when, Dave, number 5, Point Loma comes in. Now, I have them at number 5, Dave, officially in the polls. Just to be clear here, they do reside currently, Point Loma right now. Here's the reason why Granite Hills has a chance. 2 weeks ago, Dave, Point Loma defeated Cathedral Catholic 14-0. Now, remember Coach DiMaggio Jones of Helix pointed out that Cathedral's been without their quarterback for a couple of weeks. Their starting quarterback for a couple of weeks. Brady Palmer. So that's hurt them here right now, and that's why Point Loma only ranked 9th in the county poll. I'm not sure about that. Look, they're behind Mount Miguel in the rankings. That'd be a great game. I'd love to see that. It could be a Division I game. Point Loma and Mount Miguel. They're behind San Marcos. They're behind Granite. Point Loma is, but they're 8-0 right now, Dave. For Point Loma, this has been a historical season, and they're going to go up against our Christian Patriots looking for their first league win. We're at home at least, Dave, but the Pointers they're off to an 8-0 start for the first time since 1937. And it's their best start since 1966. Dave, hard to believe, Dave, I was born in 68. Benny Edens, the legend, remember Benny Edens, a legendary Point Loma coach. He was coaching in 1966. He had an incredible career as one of the greatest coaches of all time in San Diego County. But this is only the 5th time in school history they've gone unbeaten through 8 games. The other times were 1937, 1939, 1946, 1965. But all those teams in there either played like a 7 or 8 game schedule, and sometimes they had ties in there because remember, there wasn't any overtimes back then. So they would just call one year they were like 6-1-3 or something like 6-0-3 or something like that. So this team has been really one of the stories in the county this year. I still think they're kind of being overlooked a little bit, and I don't even think they're going to make it to the Final Four. But you'd think with an 8-0 record, man, they deserve a chance. Cathedral's in 4th place right now. Point Loma beat them. Yes, they were without Palmer, but they're going to be without Palmer here. So it's going to be hard for Point Loma to move up. I'm kind of focusing on them. I know we've got our Christian Patriots here, and they're going to be underdogs. They could have a great game. They're going to be, still considerable underdogs in this game. But I kind of wanted to highlight Point Loma here on their incredible season, and maybe the Patriots could get something to shoot for here this week. They need to try to turn this into a crazy high-scoring game, Dave.
Before we get into Christian, just in from defensive coordinator Sean McDade of the El Capitan Vaqueros, he says it's going to be a tough task. They are solid in all aspects of their game and have great coaching. He knows the deal, but we have and then unfortunately we have a ton of injuries right now, especially on the defense. That's really going to hurt, and that's bad news. After we talked them up a little bit, the quarterback is extremely smart, and we know who they're referring to. We just talked about him a couple minutes ago, and they have a ton of, and they're talking about Zach. And they have a ton of talent outside. We will play hard and try to compete, but this here is a tall task. I mean, what do you say when you're at that the other end? I mean, that's the best way you can put it. Let's just go out there and give them our best. And then you got injuries on top of that on their defense. That I'm sure that, and that's what you do as a coach. I'm sure Kellen is going to exploit those areas of the defense, and that's what good coaches are supposed to do. But thank you to Coach Sean McDade for weighing in. I had texted him earlier, and he's now getting back to me, but I surely appreciate that. We were just talking about Christian, and because you just got done with Point Loma and saying how they're not been given their due. And Christian, what do we say? But I didn't see it coming to this, and being 2-6 overall, only winning 2 games all season. I know that they got some tougher teams. They graduated to a tougher league, but I just didn't see it being like this. It just amazes me.
Yeah, but you're right. The tougher schedule here is really what it's been. I mean, you've got they played the Bishops and lost to them. And I've got Bishops. I have Bishops ranked higher than the computer polls. I have Bishops 10th right now. I don't know. The computers have them less, and I think the UT has them below that too. But I rank Bishops higher. They lost to Madison, and Madison has not a great season right now. Madison's just 2-6. They lost that one by 2 points at home. Really wish they would have got that one. Lost at La Jolla, another pretty good team here this season. They lost to Saints last week. They had that great win against Scripps Ranch, but they got this game and then another tough game next week playing at San Diego. So these are all top 40 teams here right now this season, and hopefully they can get one here late in the season. But these are all very tough games, and they're going to play at San Diego next week. And San Diego, I have them ranked 26th here currently. This is just going to be a tough game, Dave, against these Point Loma Pointers. But look, Kai Rozier, Dave, last week I mentioned on the show, I didn't know what had happened. I heard that Rozier, I saw it taken off down the, but I didn't know what had happened until after the show. The kickoff for the second half was actually kind of a shorter kick around the 20, and I believe it bounced off a teammate and bounced right to Rozier. They have two men back. He picked it up and ran it 80 yards in typical Kai Rozier fashion. There, and he's had a great year this season, but that 80-yard kick return showed his speed last week to get the Patriots there on the board, even though they went down to defeat. That was their only touchdown of the game against Saints in a 20-7 loss. They're going to be up against it here. The computers actually have, Dave, as many as 4 touchdown underdogs, maybe even more. One computer has it basically I believe a 5 touchdown underdog in this game. I think they'll be a little bit more competitive than that. I think they can keep it to within 2 or 3 scores, I hope, here on Friday night.
I think the last impressive win was the time that we did talk to them, and that Steve Benson, I believe it was, that kicked the 50-yard field goal. That was that something for the Patriots, and beating such a good Scripps Ranch team. But I think, Caleb Runkle's done everything he can. He's got 1,600 yards passing. I think he did even better than that last year as far as touchdowns. He's only got 14 this year. And he will be looking for, of course, his favorite target, Kai Rozier, who's got 776 yards and 6 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
And the good thing about that, like you said, and he did it last week, 229 return yards. But I think what's happening also, a lot of these guys that are going both ways for Christian, the Houstons and guys like that, they're just, some of them are running out of gas, and they're not matching up with some of these guys that are in this league. And I would not be surprised if Christian went to a different league next year. I don't know how that would be, or if they have to remain in it for 2 years. But Caleb's going to be back next year, so they just need to build around him. Boy, just watch. I keep going back to that game. He played so well and came back, and some crazy plays to knock off a good team like Scripps Ranch, and now they're facing Point Loma. But I'd like to say Christian's going to pull off an upset, and if there was going to be an upset this week, that could be the one. But unfortunately, I'm going to take Point Loma by 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, I got to take Point Loma here. They've done it behind quarterback Ryder Watson, who had 5 touchdown passes last week. Dave, Romeo Carter had 204 as had 214 yards and 6 touchdowns. I think this was in that game. I don't know if it was in that game, but uh, Mateo Correa also has been pretty strong defensively. So Point Loma is a real tough team here, Dave.
Oh,
Right now, and are really one of the stories. I really would love to see this team get up there into the Final Four. I wouldn't want to look. Cathedral's a great team. Maybe they are still better than Point Loma in the end, even without their quarterback. And I know Dave, one of your favorite. While we're talking here, real quick about the Open Division because these other games was one of your quarterbacks you've talked about several times this season, Troy Hune, who was going to go to Penn State. Well, we know Penn State fired their coach 2 weeks ago, and he since has withdrawn his. He's not going there anymore. Once the coach gets fired, you can back out of your commitment, and that's what he's done. So Troy Hune's looking for a place to play here. Could he stay at home or something?
San Diego State, here we come.
All of a sudden, Dave, the Aztecs are like the hottest thing going right now. I mean, I don't know how they turned it around so quickly, but if they win out, there's a chance that they could go to the college football playoff. They'd have to win them all, but and they'd have to win their rest of their games. But it's been an incredible turnaround for San Diego State for sure. There, just want to mention that. So, all right,
well,
Dave,
let's get somebody. Let's somebody from San Diego get the job done and get the championship. The Padres fall out so quickly, and then you guys got those mustard uniforms last week. But I'm sure you're moving on to the Rock Academy at Mountain Empire.
I am. I had to look it up. Romeo Carter of Point Loma, he did score 6 touchdowns receiving last week. I looked at my story and I know I wrote that, but I was like, is that right? There, because they did have 8 touchdown passes last week. They beat up Madison. It was 55-26, but he did score 6 touchdowns in that game. Christian, that's number 9. Romeo Carter. Make sure you got an eye on him. There's more guys than that on Point Loma, but trying to stop Carter. He had 6 touchdowns last week. Okay, let's do it. Let's get into it. Dave, I didn't even file a story last week for Mountain Empire. They lost 41-0. I'll take this moment to kind of close the book on last week's game as they went down to defeat to Maranatha Christian. Good news is they might get another chance to play Maranatha Christian. That did kind of set Maranatha Christian on their way to win the Sunset League, probably at a 4-0 record right now. It was the biggest game of the year for Mountain Empire for sure. Coach did text me and said, that even though we lost that game, Dave, that it's still been a great season for these guys here right now. And I think they can bounce back here for sure against Rock Academy. Now, it's not going to be an easy game. You see Rock Academy, they're 4-4 and a 2-2 record in league play. So Mountain Empire's been a great season, but does feel like to me that this is kind of still going to be a close game. He said, Coach Keller said, we didn't play our best, which is frustrating. Maranatha is well coached. But this will be a good game and a tough game and a closely rated game, actually. The computers definitely have Mountain Empire as about 1 or 2 touchdown favorites in this game. But there's still work to be done. And like I said, Rock Academy coming in a pretty decent record, 4-4 and 2-1. Elisha LaShawn Robinson is one of the best running backs in the county. He's 14th in the county with 860 rushing yards, and he has 10 touchdowns this season. And the Redhawks have great defense with Jason Landman, 70 tackles, and David Oney has 4 sacks, as does Maxwell Anderson. These teams met last year. Dave. Rock Academy won 24-6. But Mountain Empire is much improved.
Well, I can definitely say one of the keys, as we said about several of the home teams this week, I think that Pine Valley is going to be one of the advantages that Mountain Empire has, and I think the Red Hawks are going to be red hot, and I mean upset, and that they lost so badly that they're going to want to take it out on the Rock Academy, and I think that they're going to be ready, coached up, probably had maybe even some extra practice time just to get ready to make sure we defeat Rock Academy on our turf. And I'm sure all of the Red Hawk fans are going to be out and in attendance like they always are. I'm going to say Keller and the Mountain Empire Red Hawks win this one by 2 touchdowns.
And that will technically keep them alive in the for a share possibly of the league title. It does feel like Maranatha Christian has a little bit of a stranglehold now after winning that big game. There was some other. This is a good league, a competitive league. It's a very low rated league, but nonetheless for Maranatha Christian, they do host O'Farrell, and O'Farrell, played a good game against. Mountain Empire. Mountain Empire did win that game, but it was competitive. O'Farrell is one of the better teams. And then Rock Academy will play Maranatha in the final game, and Rock Academy will be at home. So there's still a chance there for Foothill, for Mountain Empire, but they have to win for sure here this week and keep that great season going, 7-2 to head into the last game of the season day for Mountain Empire. So if they win this one, they win the next one. And like I said, they're in the 5 AA division. So the teams that are in there, Dave, the best teams in that 5 AA division right now are number 1, Maranatha Christian, number 2, Palo Verde Valley. And after that, you're really looking at Mountain Empire and Calipatria. So right there you have the best teams there, so they could get into that playoff format and have some very good games.
Before you go on to the next one, they come in late, and I think that's because they just get done with practice. But speaking of your alumni, Coach Jones just chimed in, and he thinks this is a great opportunity for us against the Cougars. This is our senior night. We are trying to build on our last couple games. We have done good things in those games that we can build on. We are two different teams. They are a spread, throw it all over the place. We are a run-oriented team that has the potential to be explosive in the pass game. This game also has implications on playoff seeding, like you said, Ramon, and so he says, I'm excited.
I'm excited. I'm going to be watching that.
That's Coach Joe, and that's Coach Jones. So he's getting his Highlanders ready to roll.
Well, and I'm glad the game for I'm going to watch that one. I want to watch Santana and West Hills possibly as well. And I'm glad it's at West Hills. Coach Estes does everything for us. He always comes through. But, man, that camera wasn't on last week, Coach. I know it's at West Hills this week. Just giving Coach the business because he's obviously no one. Hey, love all the cooperation. No one helps us out more than Coach Estes. Get that camera on, please, Coach, so I can watch the home games. We're almost over, and I want to make sure the playoffs, especially. Coaches, if you're watching and you have those cameras, make sure once we get the playoffs that you get those home games, you got to reset. Make sure you go in and put that scheduled in there so the camera turns on. Don't forget, it's not all about the regular season. Just my own selfish opinion. Everybody else go to the games. Don't worry about watching it on the streams. Just go to the game, but I got to watch them all on the stream. So, okay, Dave, one more here real quick. Look, I'm just going to cover it the way it is, Dave. These are the 2 lowest rated teams in the entire county, but you know what?
Somebody's got to win.
And it's going to be Foothills Christian. It's going to be Foothills Christian. They're actually favored in this game by 2 or 3 touchdowns here. Like I said, if you go down the list of the power rankings, these are basically number 80 and 81, 79 and 80. I don't know how many teams we have. Maybe it's 83 teams, but these are the two lowest rated teams, not in Division 5 AA, but I think still both teams will be searching for their first win. Foothills Christian did show their life against O'Farrell. I mentioned O'Farrell. Foothills Christian did score 23 points to have one of their best games of the season, actually. It was their highest offensive output of the season. Tri-City Christian lost to Victory Christian 52 to nothing. So I think it's a time for the Knights to celebrate here, and I'm going to take them to win.
Yeah, I'm just going to take them to win because it's about time. And I'm assuming that this one will be played at Seau Field, or is it not?
Oh, yeah. Head on out there if you want to see a closely rated football game on Friday night. Okay. I think that'll do it, Dave. Thanks. Great job getting the coaches to get those comments and our preview here. We're back on Friday night right after the games, hopefully by maybe 10:15 or so. Try to get all the we want to get all the games together and make sure we got all the final scores here. So if any of those games run long, no problem. We'll be here on Friday night to recap the action, especially from the Mayor's Cup game and also Steel Canyon Helix and those other games as well here this week, Dave.
And let's make sure I'm going to try my best while he's getting the finals in is try and round up some of the big winners and hopefully some of the winners that are on the road from the bus.
Yeah, and if Santana goes out there and wins, we might just have to wait for him to get back to school because we know that drive doesn't take it used to take 5 or 10 minutes. Probably takes more like 15 or 20 now. But we'll see who's going to be a road victor on the bus, a road upset maybe there. We'll see this week, Dave. And it should be a great Friday night. Make sure you join us here on Facebook and YouTube for the Friday night post-game show.
And thank you to Granite Mortgage, Lakeside Equipment, and Touchdown Plumbing. And as always, I want to make sure he gets the credit he deserves. As a matter of fact, I'm a little behind. I apologize. Been just as busy as Ramon has as of late, and got to get some pictures to you. But thank you so much, Vic Morano, for going out to these games and not only catching prep football, but getting the flag football photos and volleyball and you name it. This guy goes out of his way to get us some beautiful pictures. So if you ever get a chance, go over to Instagram and look for Vic Morano. He has a plethora of fantastic professional photos, and we use every one of them, even for our opening.
Yep, and it's been a great season of flag football, Dave. We really had some great in the Hills League. Grossmont and Steel Canyon both had great records here right now. 4-1 atop the standings. Grossmont 16-3 this season. Steel Canyon is 15-4. They can play more games when you don't get concussions every week. Over in the Valley League, El Capitan is on top of the 4-1 record. West Hills is 3-1 in the flag football right now. So it's been a great season of flag football. The playoffs are going to be awesome here as well. We just had some incredible games here over the last a couple of days. In fact, last night, the Vaqueros clinched at least a share of the Grossmont Valley League Championship with a 45-28 win over El Cajon Valley. Valhalla beat West Hills 13-6 to sweep the season series. West Hills, though, can still clinch a share of the Grossmont League Valley title with a victory tomorrow night at El Capitan. If you want to see one of the big games of the season in flag football in the Valley League, check that one out. West Hills at El Capitan tomorrow night. Also yesterday it was Granite Hills beating Santana 27-7 in Grossmont. They said, "Where's our musket?" They beat Helix 13-12. So Cougars have clinched, Steel Canyon Cougars have clinched at least a share of the Grossmont Hills League championship. So congratulations to all the ladies as well for a great flag football season. And we know flag football is going through the roof right now. Grossmont, El Capitan, really some strong performers this season in the flag game.
All right. Well, thank you for that. And we're looking forward to just about 48 hours from now to all the action. And we are almost at playoff time. So we have this week and next week, but 48 hours from now, tune us in. Like Ramon said, about 10 o'clock, 10:15-ish. And join us for the show and our special guests. I'm hoping we get a bunch of winners so we can have as many as we can on here and let them enjoy, let their families enjoy. But especially, thank you for joining us tonight on the East County Prep Football Preview for week number 10. And for Ramon Scott, I'm Dave Dickens. Have a pleasant evening.